Hey, drop it, drop it.
What do you have?
Drop. He's got an axe. Drop the axe. Drop the axe.
Drop it, bro.
Before we got one at gunpoint.
Stop. 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 Come on. Stop. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Reacts. This one's going to be from police activity. Orange County deputies shoot man with an axe. Pretty clear-cut case of self-defense by the officers. This is the difference in this Reacts. One, I want to show you this actual situation because these are become more debatable, especially via legal cases in this country of the use of deadly force. And I'm actually going to weigh the legal information that's just as important as the tactical assessment of what's going on. Now, I'm not a legal expert. Most of the reacts you see me react to is via my narrow field of experience in the military. I was a federal firearms instructor, got a degree in criminal justice. So when I talk about these things, I'm not a police officer. I don't know the legal side of all of it, which is why I hire police officers and attorneys to teach the legal side and most of my personal defense or personal self-defense classes with Fieldcraft Survival. Got the opportunity via Adam Haidary. I always hack his name. It's Haidary. Now, Adam, you might know him from being the CEO, founder of Police Post, Effective.Fitness Training on Instagram, and EF Combatives. Somebody who is really all about educating police officers through these videos. I want to be able to do the reacts, but also give you the expert who understands to weigh in on the legal justification or any complexities that we're dealing with. Adam's a good dude, man. I've talked to Adam for a long time since he started Police Post. I really like him. Just some history on Adam. He's 7 years as a law enforcement officer, 2 years as a training sergeant, 5 years on patrol. He left as a full-time training sergeant to start and run multiple successful law enforcement training companies, which include 29 individuals. Majority are male or law enforcement, and currently being utilized in 80 different agencies and U.S. Army military police units. So let's talk about this summary first as described. So we have law enforcement officers investigating a 911 call. Individuals breaking into cars and potentially the residence. Law enforcement officers made contact at the residence, and the same individual approached Ellie with an axe, a deadly weapon. The individual ignored all the commands, and then something took place. I'll walk you through that on this video. So here we go. Both officers approaching the fence. Now, I've never seen this video. I like to react in real time.
Sheriff's Department.
Two officers on scene. Sheriff's Department, they announce.
I don't see anyone in the car.
Sheriff's Department.
So you got a car that's in the carport that was reported that somebody was breaking into, and they're looking at that car, making their calls. I noticed both of them are using a pistol with lights on them, and they also have standalone lights on them. You know, if you're using a light, you're using it for utility, and you might even use it for engagements, but they're separating the two because they don't want to be walking around, obviously, using the light on the gun to illuminate space when nothing's going on. So far, so good.
Okay, copy that. You got one in the driver's seat.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
All right, just identifies one in the driver's seat at 507.
Hey, don't move.
All right, so he makes contact at like a 5'10", 5'11". This is really cool. Like, I mean, these are little passive things, but this is important. His communication to him, even how he communicates a greeting, is very reduced in tone. Like he's got a sweet voice on. Now, why would that be important? Because when you make contact with somebody, the way that you talk to them is going to set the stage for their emotional state to potentially escalate. You know, I always talk in personal security how I always think it's funny when somebody's like, show me your effing hands, show me your effing hands. And they don't show their effing hands. They go, okay. And then they bring in the negotiator. It's like, hi, my name's John. What's your name? It's like, well, shouldn't you be trained in both? So there's a time and place to understand when to escalate, when to force the person's hand for your own safety, for the public safety. But there's also a time and place when an initial contact, like, hey man, what's up, man? What's going on? Like, talk to me. And this is a good responsibility and role that could be taught in initial contact, that could be exercised not only at patrol academies, but also with officers themselves in their own training.
Don't move. I know. That's fine.
He says, that's fine. He's trying to be nice.
Let's take up. We have contact 1. What do you have? Hey, drop the axe. Drop it, bro.
Okay, the suspect, has an axe in his hand. He's at the back of the vehicle. And as the law enforcement officers are standing, they back up. They create distance and space. That's a good sound tactic. You can never be wrong by gaining distance and space to give yourself more afforded time. We talk about this 21-foot rule. Well, I think it's actually longer or more distance than that, which is the officer's reaction potentially in 10, 20 feet is not going to be fast enough to react, especially from the holstered position, to respond to somebody coming at you with an axe. These guys obviously have the tactical advantage because they have guns on the suspect and they're giving him commands. Let's talk about some of the legal precedent from case law. This is all coming from the subject matter experts. We say Graham versus Connor in 1989 determined that objective reasonableness, it's the Fourth Amendment standard to be applied in assessing claims of excessive force by police. Basically, you got a call for service, you have an armed individual approached, no compliance, verbal commands, so deadly force is authorized. So it could be an engagement due to the totality of the circumstances when you're weighing the ability, opportunity, and intent articulating deadly force. Big shout out to Adam's team for that sum up of the legal protocol. Look, the deadly force via the ignored commands of law enforcement and their decision to engage was justified in stopping the threat. But let's see how this unfolds.
Stop. Come on, stop. Don't move. Don't move.
No.
Yeah, here we go. So multiple shots on the suspect. The guy's holding the axe by his waist on his right side. So is that going to be a case for self-defense? Well, based on everything I lined out, yes. But here's the problem. We live in a different world now. I mean, Adam, his team will acknowledge this. You have district attorneys that are radical, that are changing the way self-defense has been handed down as precedent in case law with their own skewed perceptions, and also the political situation, the social situation. And these translations of the law can affect law enforcement's abilities to make these decisions under stress. So in this particular case, if one of these officers hesitated because he wasn't sure, because he didn't want to potentially be prosecuted, because the guy didn't raise his hand specifically and chop down on top of him, that could cost him his life. So everything that's weighed when you're giving commands, he's still advancing versus Graham versus Connor, clear-cut case of self-defense. Now, in the same situation, I have something similar to this that I'm testifying in a court of law for my good friend Ben Darby. And Ben Darby was prosecuted and charged and convicted of murder for a similar case where the man had a firearm by his side. He went to raise or move his hand. He shot that person, terminated the threat, and then was subsequently charged because of other nuanced things that happened, but that don't specifically relate to his justified use of deadly force. In the world we live, I mean, a district attorney could potentially look at this and go, oh, he didn't lift the axe. Well, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. Complete clear-cut case of deadly force. Let me read the sum up as articulated by a police activity. On Wednesday, June 14th, 2023, Orange County Sheriff's Dispatch received 2 911 calls that a person was breaking in the vehicle. They approached the vehicle. They saw a man seated. One of the deputies saw that the man had an axe, told him to drop it. The man exited the vehicle, and the deputies gave multiple commands to the man to drop the axe. The man advanced towards the deputy's arm of the axe. The deputy involved shooting occurred. The deputy involved shooting occurred. The deputies removed the axe from the man's hand, handcuffed him, called for county fire. They did life-saving measures, including the application of tourniquets and CPR. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Let me read some of the comments from this because I like to see kind of some of the perspective. Honor and respect to all law enforcement that put your lives on the line. These officers will be able to go home to their families. Great community awareness. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night with a stranger by your bed with an axe. Yeah, I mean, clear-cut case of self-defense, but is it? I'd like to get your input and opinions down below, because we know that the world is changing around us. We know politically, socially, these issues that are taking place in our country, in our own backyard, especially as it relates to race, is changing the way these things are being seen. Good job to these officers for doing their job, for protecting the public. I mean, as this guy gets hit and he's falling, likely some of those rounds caught him in the back. Without this video, without the video cameras from the officer's perspective, without the audio, somebody could go, he had an axe in his hand, he never lifted it, he was shot in his back. That narrative would run wild and rampant on mainstream media and can change the way that we look at law. I hate that. That's why we do this. Big shout out to Adam and his team for allowing me to do this legal component of this Reacts, and we'll continue to do that to bring value to you. Guys, I have a narrow field of experience. I do tactical Reacts. Last video, I talked about a dog, and I called the dog a killer, and people took that out of context. But I get it. In the crazy world we live in now, where many things are taken out of context, I'll just clarify. I didn't mean that dog was a killer and he actually killed people. I meant like I call Cam Haynes, or, you know, I call Andy Stumpf a killer. Like they're savages. They do crazy stuff. That's what I meant. These dogs can be violent because they're trained to bite. And they're killers, but not actual killers. There's case law as set as a precedent where they're not allowed to be used for anything close to deadly force. But I'll make sure I'll clarify next time. I appreciate the value you provide me, and certainly hit me up with your Reacts, because I want to make sure that we do Reacts in all fields of preparedness, to include officer-involved shootings, natural and man-made disasters, and also combat Reacts. The next Reacts I'll do next week is about Ukraine and the war that's going on there with Russia. Till next time, guys. Peace out.